Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap this handle. And you'll need, I usually wrap with 1/4 inch. I just pull that out of the water. You want it to be good and wet because you're going to be doing a lot of wrapping and bending with it. And it can get very, very frayed if you are not careful with it. So to get started, you're going to be starting at the handle. You want to have your reed so that the wrong side is actually facing up. So I felt it, I've showed you how to find the right side and wrong side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, oops, going to need a thing. So I'm going to put it under this first piece, this first row that I can go under, and the handle row. Wrong side facing out for now. And just tuck it down in there. You don't want to pull hard when you go to start because it'll come out. And then what you do, I don't know how well this is going to show you, but what you want to do is make like a 1/4 turn right here. Just kind of make it a 1/4 turn so it lines up right with the top of the basket. I don't know how well you can see that. I'll bring it up a little bit and see if you can see that 1/4 turn there to bring it up. And you can 1/4 turn it the way it's going to be easier for you to wrap. And what you're going to do, and this is a real pain because you constantly, let me bring that up a little higher. You constantly have to keep pulling your long piece through every time. Every time you have to pull it through. So you'll see it disappearing, but I've got this huge tail all back here. So anyway, what you do is you go and you wrap it around. You're right with the edge. And you're going to wrap it around. When you get back to here, your fingers get very tired, cramped. So if you have any kind of arthritis or anything that's going to hurt your fingers, you can get clothespins at any point and clothespin it to keep it tight while you rest your fingers. And what you do is in the back, they're just going to touch at the top. It doesn't overlap. You come back around, your pieces are just going to touch. And then bring it back around. Bring it the whole way through. I don't worry so much about fixing the back part of it being level until I've gotten there. So again, in here, it is perfectly level with the top of the next piece. And you're gonna wrap it 3 times. As close as you can get it. I'm feeling here in the back. And then it's a really long piece. You probably don't need one quite this long, but it's what I grabbed, and so now you're gonna have to deal with me lighten it. Quite a bit. Okay, so there's my 3 rows. Right by each other in here on the outside, and right by each other on the inside, so nothing overlaps. It's nice and tight. Take the color you've chosen, which is also soaking. Try to find the right side and have it facing up. And what you're going to do is put it right in the middle. Just let it hang on the other side. It doesn't need to be pinned or anything like that because you're going to be flipping it back and forth. So it's right at the top of those 3. And you're going to wrap 3 more times the color now. Same thing. Close together here. Pull it the whole way through. So long. Try to keep that colored piece in the middle. There's not a really faster way to do this, and I know it's a pain, but you really do want it long. Trying to piece it in the middle is a little tricky. All right, so my 3rd time wrapping around. And they won't be quite as close because you got a little bit of thickness in there now that's not allowing it to go as close as it was before. Okay, where's that piece going? Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take a clothespin and I'm going to clothespin it right here so it stays tight. I'm going to measure how far, do it a little bit higher here, how far I am from the edge, so about 2 inches. And then what I'm going to do is go over here, and on this handle over here, I'm going to measure up about 2 inches, right around the same place where I was. And I'm going to mark it here. If you want to mark on the inside, you can, but that way I know that's where I start wrapping again. So it'll be about equal distance on either side. You take a clothespin off. So anytime you need a break, just put that clothespin on. So what you're going to do now is you're going to alternate. You pull, you don't bend it. You allow the color to kind of come forward. I have it over my shoulder. You bring it down and tuck it down. If you bend too much, it's going to get weak and break. So tuck it down and behind it. And you're going to wrap twice while it's pulled forward or leaning forward. Again, it's going to be even narrower now, because, or not as tight now, because you've got an extra width in here. So wrap it twice. And then after 2 wraps, which I've got here with it out, I'm going to take it, lay it back in the middle again, hold it back there, and I'm going to wrap it twice again. And now the color will be hidden. So every 2, the color will show, and every 2 wraps, the color will be hidden. Okay. Again, keep the inside just butting against each other, not overlapping. Wrap a second time. Checking it back. I use my fingers back here to feel it, if I can feel an overlap. Allow it to fall forward. Bring it around and tuck it down in behind that piece of orange. Bring it around to wrap it. This is not a real big one to wrap. Some handles are a little bit longer, a little higher, but this is going to take some time and will be a toll on your fingers. So take a chance to break if you need to, if it really starts to hurt. Lay it back right in the middle and wrap it twice. So you can see the pattern starting of every 2. You've got the color. So I'm going to try to work a little quietly and just show you. Every 2, color goes back. Every 2, color falls forward. So I'm just going to try to show you that as quickly as I can to get to the other side. Oops, I should have brought it forward. That's my fault. Sorry about that. Time to bring it forward. I just let mine fall over my shoulder. You can't see it, but I just let it fall over my shoulder. So it's out of the way, but it's not bent. It's not bent. It can't bend that way. If you feel the reed that you're wrapping with getting dry, and it will because you're constantly messing with it with your hands, if you feel it getting dry, clothespin it. Try to take a minute to roll it up a bit, coil it back up again, and put it back in the water, swish it around a little bit to keep it nice and wet so it doesn't break, it doesn't fray. Keep working that orange into the middle. If your handle, you can see my handle's really pressing down, it's okay. It's not gonna continue to do that. When you're done, I mean, it will continue to do that, but when you're done, you can adjust it so it's not gonna stay in that bent position. As long as the basket is wet, it's still very pliable and able to be shaped into whatever you want. I like my baskets rounded and ovaled, my Easter baskets, but I know people that like them square, rectangle, so you can certainly do that also. If you see splinters coming off it and it's getting a little hairy, it's okay. Reed naturally has a hairy side to it. You can see here. It is possible I got my wrong, the wrong side out instead. It is what it is. You can always trim it later. That's not a big deal. And the edges will also fray too, so don't get terribly upset about that. Getting there, about halfway, maybe a little more. You can tell if it's squishing down so much. Just be aware that in the back, you can see it easily here. You have to feel that it's not overlapping in the back. Just be very aware so the handle doesn't get too bulky. I can feel my reeds getting a little dry, so I think I'm going to do this one more wrap. And I'm going to close pin it right here to keep it tight. I'm going to take this that I have here and I'm just going to kind of coil it. Just into a small amount. You don't have to do this for long. And I have a bucket, a little pan of water right here. I'm going to go ahead. You'll hear it. I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to swish it in my water a bit and come out wet. Let it fall. Get your finger on to hold that in place so it doesn't loosen. And just continue going. If you're doing this with other people around you, it's kind of nice to be sitting next to people you like, because hopefully you like them, because you're going to be whipping them with all this reed that's here. And I'm getting pretty wet. Since I just got it wet, I'm getting wet again, and I can see that it's definitely not fraying as much as it was before I wet it. I know my thumb is holding things down, so I'm just trying to make sure you can see. Just get as close as you can. Oops. It's not completely shut, it is okay. You do have a piece poking through that's going to take away that space, or give you a space. And you can see why you want both pieces. Now the color piece does not have to be quite as long, but it has to be more than just fitting across the handle, because you're lifting it and taking away some of its length every time you lift it. So you want to make sure you give yourself a piece that's at least twice across the handle. And this wrapping piece, it's just hard to tell. What I try to do is I usually figure that there's about 2 inches for every wrap. So then I count the number of wraps. I count for that, extra that we had here in the beginning when we started, and we'll have that same thing at the end. So probably 2 inches for every wrap times the number of wraps, and then maybe another 4 to 5 inches on top of that to have plenty. So it's a long piece. Some baskets you can't get it long enough for the wrapping that you need to do, and it's just the right way the length is. Nothing you can do about it. You have to start and stop, but hopefully it's not a big issue. You also wrap your handle before you put the rim on. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but the rim is always the last thing you put on, but it is the thing that holds your basket together. So you'll do this, and then the rim will help to tighten these pieces in, not let them pull out. Because there's nothing worse than a handle that you've wrapped that suddenly starts coming apart. It's very hard to fix. So, especially if you've stained your basket or done anything to protect it, then it can't get wet anymore. Okay, we're getting there. Almost done. Oh, I probably should look for my line now. Yep, I'm at my line, my 6-inch line. So what I'm gonna do is lay my colors down, because like on the other side, I hit it. So I'm gonna wrap it 3 times, like I did on the other side. So you're gonna keep the color for a little bit. Get the 3 in there. And then I'm gonna cut it off the color right below that one. I started with no color there and added it, and then wrap. You know, it may be 3, it might be 4. If it's not exactly the same, it's no big deal. 2. And sometimes you can see that, well, I need to put another one in because I'm gonna have to put a 4th one in. It's just no big deal to finish it. And just make sure your backs is touching. Okay, so now I'm back at the beginning. So I'm gonna take it around to the front, and I am not gonna work with all that length. So I'm gonna cut off. I don't know if my battery just died and showed you. So I'm gonna cut off some of this, because I definitely don't need to work with all of that. So I'm gonna take that off. And that 1/4 turn that we did in the beginning, we're gonna have it turn back this way towards you. I have way more than I need in here. So there's the 1/4 turn, so it makes it flat against the basket. And then I'm gonna work in this end right here, into this one. If you wanna go further, you can. So I'm gonna lay my all in there to try to get it in there. Very hard to do this when I'm trying to show you. So give the angle, kind of lift it in there. And sometimes it's just as easy to pull it through if you want to go more than one. And just pull it through. Sorry. There you go. Pull it through. There's your angle. Back here is under that first piece like we had before. I think I'm going to leave it there because I know my rim will be nice and tight. And then you can just cut it, you know, well, I'm going to cut it just about the red. That way it will hide underneath there. Tuck it, lift it and tuck it underneath the red. So that's completely up to you how many want to go. And then you have it tucked in there. So you can see the handle, every other one with about, you know, about the same distance to start. You're ready for your rim now.